go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
He's blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
Underdog Fantasy has a way for you to play alongside your favorite football team all season long with their Fantasy Pick'em game. You pick between 2 to 5 players, select whether they'll go higher or lower on one of their stats, then do what you usually do on a Sunday, watch the games. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, and the Sports Betting Show wants you to get involved. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. When you sign up, use the promo code WIN, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
Welcome to the Sports Betting Show. I'm the Philly Godfather from the PhillyGodfather.com. We got another jam-packed show for you guys, college football edition. We have the Animals back on. We got Philly Rooster, Matt Multep from the College Kids, and Jimmy the Sheep Batista at Barry the Right Number. But before we start giving out some selections, I know there's not a lot of games this week, but we'll be talking about a lot of bowl games. I want to go to Sheep first. And Jimmy, you had a little bit of an issue with Florida State not getting into the college football playoffs.
I think it's an absolute disgrace that they're getting overlooked. And the bottom line is it just comes down to ESPN reported that the potential of losses of Florida State was in there would exceeded over $150 million. So it's not about the better team at the point. I mean, people are going to say, well, Alabama beat Georgia. Well, the week beforehand, Alabama also needed a miracle, 4th and 31, to an Auburn team the week before who got decimated by New Mexico State. So I don't want to hear by strength of schedule or anything. Florida State went 13-0. They did what they do. They're a top 5 power school. And it comes down to it, the committee and ESPN, which is 2 girls in the same club, it's all about money. And Florida State, I'm the king of fixes, and I know that. But what's happening to Florida State is totally unethical, because they should have said, well, think about it. If I'm Florida State, I wouldn't even play Georgia. I wouldn't even show the fuck up. I got spit in the face. They did everything they're supposed to do. And if you're going to say, well, this quarterback didn't play, well, how about with Ohio State a few years ago, and their backup goes in there and plays and beats Wisconsin and goes on to win the national championship? It's all about the $150 million that in potential losses. And if anyone's going to say anything else, they're smoking crack.
Rooster, that was pretty articulate from Jimmy. First time.
That's impressive. It's a shame, one little minor detail, it makes absolutely no sense. First of all, he's just bitter that Georgia got knocked out.
No, not at all.
You're bitter that Georgia got knocked out. Georgia sucked, like I told you all year. As soon as they played somebody, they got embarrassed and run off the field, and now they're watching like everybody else.
They lost. They lost the game. I'll give them
that. They are an embarrassment. They didn't play anybody all year. They get one opponent and they get knocked out.
Embarrassment.
Just like I told you.
Who won the last 2 NCAA?
I had them on the money line. I had them on the straight line. I had them on the alternate line. I had them every which way. That was the easiest game of the year. But let's get to Florida State.
Whoa. Maybe it was your only winner of the year, so that's why you're so happy.
It was easy. As soon as you picked Georgia at the beginning of the year, they were doomed. It's a shame. They have no idea the powers that were against them.
We're talking about Florida State.
Okay.
Yeah, he's going. Listen,
Florida State. Here's the issue, and I learned this over the weekend. One of the criteria they added into it after that Ohio State thing was injuries. They took that into consideration. Each item is weighted equally. So it's strength of schedule, it's record, it's common opponents. There's about 8 criteria, and they're all equal in weight. It's not like the NFL.
You're absolutely
One
right.
of those items was injuries, and their starting quarterback got injured. That's it. I'm sorry. I mean, this is the big leagues. They want the most. They don't want an MLB
They want the money.
where they
It's
got
the difference.
Texas and Arizona.
It's the potential of $150 million lost. That's
Let
the
me-
only reason.
Let me go to Matt real quick. Matt, what's your opinion on this whole mess? Now, I know there's a criteria. I know there's a formula, but that formula erases a 13-0 season, which means none of those other games Florida State played even counted. So how do you feel about what happened?
So how do I feel, or what do I think? There's two different things. I feel like Florida State, yeah, those kids, it sucks for all of those kids. Every single kid that played all year for, to go to the playoffs and championship. But the Rooster laid it out plain and simple. The criteria, it includes injuries, right? Quarterback for Florida State was injured. We saw the backup perform. He played like shit. Not good whatsoever. Not playing at the level of competition of a playoff team. So with that being said, the committee did the right choice. They made the right choice by putting Texas in there, Alabama, Michigan, and Washington. Florida State, their level of play, winning what they win against Louisville, 13-6, was not indicative.
16-6.
16-6, not indicative of a playoff team in that caliber with those teams. Those are the 4 best teams currently. So
I don't know about Washington. I think Florida State could have beat Washington.
Come on.
Rooster.
You're reaching. You're reaching.
No, I'm not reaching, Jimmy. This is why. I'm going to tell you why. Because Michael Penix compared to Rodemaker, there's a big difference there. Rodemaker, did you not see what he did against Louisville? How he played? Do you know the stats, Jimmy?
Yeah, he played. Listen, their defense won the game. I understand
what
that.
were the stats?
For the quarterback from Florida State?
Yes.
They were terrible. They were terrible. Listen, but they won the game. It's a team game. Listen, Matt, they can put any inclusion into it for the selection. But what happened was a disgrace. I'm sorry. It was a disgrace.
Yards passing. Well, yards per pass for Florida State.
We got 20 seconds. So I want to wrap it up real quick. Everyone's
all right. Well, let me wrap it up because I got to say this. It would have made a lot more money if they put in Georgia instead of Washington. That would have been the 4 best teams. We all agree with that. We said it before. Georgia, correct. Alabama, Texas, Michigan. They didn't do that. It's not all about the money. There was a criteria based on injury. There's an injury factor.
Hold that thought. We're going to go to our next segment. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Sports Betting Show.
Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
He's blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Underdog Fantasy has a way for you to play alongside your favorite football team all season long with their fantasy pick'em game. You pick between 2 to 5 players, select whether they'll go higher or lower on one of their stats, then do what you usually do on a Sunday, watch the games. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, and the Sports Betting Show wants you to get involved. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. When you sign up, use the promo code WIN, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
Welcome back to the Sports Betting Show. You're listening on Sirius XM channel 159. You're watching us on YouTube at JAKIB Sports TV. Sheep's coughing, choking while I'm
Yeah, because I'm thinking, you're saying
It's like
Washington
Georgia.
deserved not to be in there, but that would have been a
to
double.
speak,
Wait a
Rooster.
minute. It would have
You
been
know
a
who
double
should be
kick
more
in the
upset?
balls.
I'll tell you who should be more upset. Michigan. Michigan earned the right to play Washington not Washington, Texas as opposed to Alabama. Now Michigan has to play the toughest team. That's the national championship. They're the ones that got screwed. They went undefeated, and they got the toughest team to play in the first round.
So you don't think it would have been an issue if they would have knocked out Washington 13-0 and Florida State 13-0 and don't send them to the appearance?
It would have been an incident. That's why they didn't do it. That's what I'm telling you. They didn't have an excuse to do it, so they didn't do it. They had an excuse with Florida State, so they did it. That's the way this works.
That's
they
the
want the
crime
money.
that was committed.
Anyway, you can also watch the show live on Twitter at Philly Godfather. We're live streaming it. We're talking a little Florida State, what happened. But at the end of the day, I don't want to say the four better teams, but I mean, you got a team from the pack. You got Michigan, you got Alabama, you got Texas.
It's close.
It's going to be a great playoff. It's going to be a great
I like
playoff. Either way. But before we start talking about the playoffs and some games, let's talk about the game coming up soon, Army-Navy game. Game opened up 2. I think it's up to 3 offshore at BetChris. Bet Online AG, it opened up 2, went to 3, came back down a little bit, saw some resistance in the market. It's back to 2.5. The Superbook out in Las Vegas is still hanging, basically 3 even money. Total's at 27.5, low total, 28 depending on where you shop. Let me go to Rooster first. Rooster, who are you like in this matchup if you like anybody?
Yeah, well, when I saw that total, like everybody else, I was a little shocked until I started doing some digging on these teams. They cannot even move the ball. Neither of them get many first downs at all. And for that reason, I got to lean under 28. I don't think they're going to get anywhere near 28. I think this is going to be like a 10-6 game. Maybe a junk touchdown at the end if something crazy's happening, but I still like under 28.
Yeah,
Well, you
like
better get it now because it's 27.5 under at our dear friend's store. So somebody probably heard your brain thought.
I mean, what does it go down to? I mean,
Yeah, can it go to 26?
that's insane.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on. Iowa, Nebraska 2 weeks ago was the lowest college total in a while, which was what, 24.5, 25?
It's nuts.
Yeah, 24.5. So I guess that's the floor right there, 24.5. But I mean, get 28. I don't think they're getting to 28. So I'm going.
If you get one special teams play, if you get a turnover, in the team's own, anything at 20, it's kind of low, man. I know you got 2 good red zone defenses. You got 2 teams that run the ball.
Well, they're running the ball. That's what runs the clock.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. So, that clock's going to be running that whole game.
That's a low total, man. Both teams can run the ball, though. They both average over 200 yards rushing on the ground. Let me go to Matt Moltempus. Matt, you like a side or a total in this matchup?
So I haven't bet anything yet. So just want to FYI. But when I look at the Navy Army game, we have 2 teams that run the ball, just like Rooster said, right? Burns time off the clock. Both of these teams, slower, burn the clock. Navy's better at stopping the run than Army, if you look at opponent yards per rush. But big thing here is the takeaways per game. If you're looking to bet a side, Navy ranks number 2 in takeaways per game at 2.2, 2 in the nation. Meanwhile, Army, they rank 56. So that was a little bit of a breakdown. I haven't bet anything, putting my money anywhere, but just looking at it from an outside view, +3, doesn't look so bad, and neither does the under 28.
Yeah, I kind of like Navy +3. I mean, they got the advantage in rushing defense. They got the advantage with their kicker, the punt game. And in a low-scoring game like this, if you got a better kicker, better punter, and you can run the ball better, and you got a better run defense, you got to take the 3, don't you, Rooster, on Navy?
Yeah, and when a total is low, every point is worth more. It's so if you can get 3.5 on this game, I think it's a steal. Now you only got to lay 20 cents in college, so I might buy it. Although the math says it's not worth it, my eyes tell me it is. So I would take 3.5 minus 20.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people are looking at like common opponents like Air Force and Navy lost to them while Army beat them. But in that game that Army beat Air Force turned the ball over, I think, 5 or 6 times. So that was kind of skewed a little bit. So I wouldn't look at that, put major weight on that. And like Rooster said, every point counts when you got a low-scoring total like this. So if you got the better run game, run defense, the better kick game, punt game, you got to take Navy plus 3 or 3.5 if you can find it. Sheep, you got an opinion on the side of our matchup here?
You know what? I've heard both ways on some of my people that I speak to. I don't have an opinion yet on the game. I do like the under, but can you go under 27.5?
This is a show where we give out opinions, right? Just make something up, God.
Listen, I'm not going to lie to you like Rooster does every week.
I'm just busting chops here. I'm just joking around. All right, let's talk about the championship odds. Let's switch up a little bit. We got about a little over 3 minutes left in this segment. Michigan's down to plus 185. Alabama's 2-1. Texas is what right now? Plus 260. Washington, the Rodney Dangerfield of college football, no respect. You can still grab them anywhere from 7 to 8-1 in the market. Let me go to Matt Moltempus first. Matt, you're holding some big futures on Texas at 25-1. How comfortable do you feel with that ticket? And do you think they're the team to beat in the college football playoffs here?
I think Texas is tough. I think they're going to be a tough out. They already beat Alabama, one of the playoff teams, so they've proven, and they didn't just beat them. They beat them convincingly. I mean, if we look at that score, I think they ended up winning by 10, but they should have won by 13 points in that one. They won 34-24, I believe. But Washington, they're favored by 4 against Washington. Washington, they haven't lost all year. They beat Oregon twice. Who they've had in front of them, Washington, they've beaten. So you can't take anything away from them. Now, I think Texas is a little bit of a different caliber. So I do like Texas. I'm still riding high on this ticket. Not Georgia, Alabama, and Michigan. That should be an interesting one. We'll see who Texas ends up versing if they take out Washington.
Yeah, let me go to Rooster. Rooster, Washington at plus 750, 8-1. Before they played Oregon, I looked at Oregon's numbers, and everyone thought they had a great defense. But when they played Washington and USC, they gave a bunch of points. So I wasn't convinced about their defense. But if Washington comes out here and puts up a ton of points on Texas, well, that becomes a very scary team. They either got the best offense in college football or they play in a weak division and Oregon's defense wasn't much. And a lot of people are going to disagree with me about Oregon's defense. But how do you feel about this team? You think they got a shot here?
I really don't. You know me. I love a big underdog. They're the biggest one left. I think, like Matt said, they got their hands full with this Texas team. Texas, first of all, I don't know if you guys watched the show. They were the most excited team to get in. They are motivated. They want this.
They are.
And I have a feeling that Alabama and Michigan are going to beat each other up. And that game to me is the championship game. But I think if Texas gets out of that game against Washington and they're not beat up, it's going to be a war between either Alabama and Texas or Michigan and Texas. That's the way I see this going down. So if I had to bet something today, it would be Texas.
All right, we got about 40 seconds left in this segment.
Hold on. The College Football Committee, what they need Alabama and Texas to play in the championship.
What do you mean? Why would they need that?
Because it would show that they put the 2 teams in who got above Georgia, who got above Florida State, because they both had a loss also. So it will look good for them if Alabama plays Texas in the championship. And that's what I think
Michigan brings a bigger rating, though. I think Michigan, Texas, that might break records.
That's huge. All right, hold on to those thoughts. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
He's blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
Underdog Fantasy has a way for you to play alongside your favorite football team all season long with their fantasy pick'em game. You pick between 2 to 5 players, select whether they'll go higher or lower on one of their stats, then do what you usually do on a Sunday, watch the games. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, and the Sports Betting Show wants you to get involved. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. When you sign up, use the promo code WIN, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
Welcome back to the Sports Betting Show. I'm the Philly Godfather from the PhillyGodfather.com. We're breaking down some college football playoffs, and we have our main man from Costa Rica in the green room, Dave Mason from Bet Online AG. We're going to break down the bet splits on some of these games coming up.
Yo.
My man, what's going on, Dave?
Nothing. Somebody sent me a video. There's a little Christmas dinner in our part and some guy chugging beer. Sorry. That's I was a little distracted there. It's pretty amazing, this dude chugging a beer. I don't even know who the hell he is. I think he's a new hire, so he's impressing all the staff chugging some beer. Good stuff. Sorry about that. Caught me off guard.
Before we start breaking down the bet splits and the betting percentages, Sheep, you got anything to ask? Because you always jump in and you kind of mess my groove. You got anything to ask Big Dave over here or what?
Well, can we get a whole segment with Dave for like 15 minutes? Because I can go on all day with him. All right, Dave, first of all, I need your opinion on Florida State getting bamboozled.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a tough one, right? I mean, it's just thankfully these controversies will go away next year when we go to 12 teams. I mean, I would have chose them. I mean, you know, yeah, the quarterback was out. Yeah, they're not one of the top 4 teams, but they didn't. You know, from a power ranking standpoint, the top 4 teams didn't make it. If they were just going on the 4 best teams, Georgia and Ohio State are most likely in there too, right? So, you know, that argument is kind of, kind of BS. You know, I get why they chose Alabama. But from just a pure sports, I guess just from a pure sports fan point of view, they kind of got screwed, I think. I mean, they did all they could do. Yeah, they weren't in the best conference. Yeah, their quarterback got hurt. But that's why we play the games, too. 2 Fridays ago, Oregon was 10-point favorites over Washington, and Washington went out there and took care of business. So, I mean, and got in the playoffs. So that's why we play those games. So, I get it. They're not one of the top 4 teams, but the top 4 teams really didn't make it either. But, I think from a pure sports fan point of view, they should have made it from a gambling kind of, logical point of view. I guess I see why they choose Bama. I'm 50-50 on it, Jimmy.
Wait a minute. It had nothing to do with money? I mean, face it.
Of course.
Texas, Alabama was the biggest draw on TV ratings in week 2 of the season.
I agree, man. Everything's about money, Jimmy. I mean, it's absolutely everything's about money. I mean, if I'm on the committee, I'm giving FSU, man. It's hard to turn those kids down. You know what I mean? But I don't know, man. Thankfully, it goes away next year because it was, I was kind of sick of hearing about the truth. I would have gunned ahead. I would have picked the Seminoles, but I get it. They would have been double-digit freaking dogs this week, on January 1st. So who wants to see that?
Yeah. All right. Well, let's start breaking down the bet counts, the percentages, where the sharp action is at. Let's go to the Army-Navy game. Army Black Knights. They're both 5-6, both these teams. Game 103, 104 on your sports betting screen. Army currently 2.5 at Bet Online and 27.5?
Yeah, 2.5 and a whopping 27.5. Well, I think these guys finally covered an over last year for the first time in over a decade, I believe. Open 2.5 and 27.5. So it's been bounced back and forth, but back to where we started. Not a whole lot of, even though we're close to the game 2 days out, not a whole lot of volume yet, but 67% of the money and 66% of the bet. No, 67% of the money's on Navy, 66% of the bets are on Army. That tells you something. Yes, sharp is on Navy, +3 and +3.5.
All right, let's go to the next game on the screen. 205-206. Miami, Ohio's playing App State. I think App State currently 6-point favorite. Combined total set at 47. Is that right down there, Ben?
Yes, 6 and 47, open 3.5 and 48. 67% of the bettors are on Miami. 59% of the cash is on App State. Sharp on App State. 3.5 and some 5.5 too. A little
All right,
bit
next game up 207, 208 on your screen. New Mexico State's lane 3 versus Fresno State. What's going on in that matchup?
New Mexico State's still 3 and totals 51.5. Open 2 and 50.5. Very low volume, so these numbers I'm going to tell you are pretty much useless. But 76% of the cash and 78% of the bettors are on New Mexico State. Nothing sharp yet. Again, very low volume, so one bet could freaking skew that either way.
All right, what's going on with this Michigan-Alabama game? I know it's still early, but the line opened up, I think, 2.5, went down to 1 or a pick 'em, and it shot back up to 1.5, 2. I'm not sure what you guys are using. Which way is the public betting it? Are they betting it early, or is it all sharp action coming in, or what's going on with this matchup?
Yeah, Michigan's 1.5 and 45.5. Open Wolverines 2.5 and 45.5. It's mostly Crimson Tide money. That's what the public's on. Nothing really sharp nothing sharp as of yet. 78% of the bettors and 71% of the cash is on Tide. Also money line too. That's popular with the bettors. 78% of the cash on the money line is on Alabama as well. So getting good at early volume, but nothing too sharp yet.
So you think by game day you're going to be really top heavy on Alabama after the way they beat Georgia?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think the splits will stay in the 78-71% range, but it'll be in the 60%, I believe.
Wow.
Man, it's never a good thing to be on Alabama if the public's on them, but you never know. I mean, that's Rooster's team. He took them at 20-1. What, a month ago you took them, Rooster?
Yeah, I think it was 5 weeks ago.
Nice. Good stuff, Rooster.
You got any questions for Dave, Rooster?
What about this Georgia-Florida State game? Because, I mean, it seems like a high line to me, but are they even going to try? What are you seeing on that game?
Yeah, I mean, we got a 14 and 44.5. I was surprised. We actually opened a lot lower. I mean, the head college guy and I were having a discussion about that before it opened up. And, he was thinking Florida State's going to lay down. I was like, well, I think Georgia's going to lay down and Florida State's going to be out to prove everybody right. So, with these bowl games that, unless it's this college football playoffs, I mean, there's just so much of that psychology that goes into it. Who's going to lay down? Who's going to have a letdown? And now you add to the dang transfer portal. These guys got, people leaving and not playing because they want to go in a draft. These other bowl games are kind of challenging to put odds up on. But we opened 6.5. That went up to 14 the next day.
I have a feeling Georgia is not going to care at all, and Florida State wants to prove everybody wrong. I like the dog there.
Yeah, I'm with you too on that, Rooster. That my guy was the opposite. He thought Florida State would be laying down, didn't care, and I kind of counterpointed. So we'll see. But the early bettors and cash are on Georgia right around 62%. Not a lot of volume yet. I mean, decent. Nothing like that New Mexico State game, but nothing like the semifinal games at all. No sharp yet.
Matt, you got anything for Dave Mason from BetOnline AG?
Yeah. What's your biggest liability on the futures with the 4 remaining teams?
Let me hit that up. Oh God, that's a horrible question. Why do you got to bring this up? Come on, Matt, you set me up, and you must have told
my. Pull that out of his back pocket, dude.
Yeah, get out of here, rubbing it in over there, Matt. We're not looking good here, man. We're Michigan or nobody. We have a good, really strong win on Michigan, and then everybody else is a loser right now. The biggest loser is Alabama, gross. Washington's a loser. Texas is a loser. They're both kind of medium-sized to large losers. Alabama's like an extra large loser, and Michigan's like an extra large win. So Michigan or nothing.
Not to bust Jimmy's chops, but how much money did you guys make on that Georgia future?
Actually, we needed Georgia big, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
We were that. Yeah, those games, those games last weekend didn't, that wasn't good for us. We needed Georgia. Georgia was good and Bama was bad from a future standpoint.
Wow.
Surprising.
Yeah.
So there you go, Jimmy. There you
Well,
go.
it's those when Alabama was, like Rooster 20-1 and even higher 33-1, people are just putting small amounts to win big and on Bama. I mean, that's when you get sometimes those red figures big. Georgia was good all year. I mean, Georgia was a good need for us all year because they're the lowest odds. On these futures, people are taking those longer odds where they just bet $50 to win, $500 or $1,000 or more, and that just adds up. So when people saw like Bama 30-1, 20-1, etc., it doesn't take a lot of shut up. No one ever calls me. No one ever calls
when you're doing a show.
Sorry about that. That was the reason for Bama getting up there, man, and why we needed Georgia. I mean, we always need the favorites are usually always pretty good on us because the odds are so low.
All right, last but not least, you guys still got Heisman Trophy odds up at BetOnline, AJ?
Yeah, we're still taking bets on it. What the hell? Even though it looks like a foregone conclusion. We're all black on all the 4 ones there, so they're all good. I mean, the results aren't as big as nowhere near as big as the national championship odds, but Jaden Daniels is the favorite. What is the
10-1? I think it's 10-1 down there, right?
Well, we had like minus 1,100. So yeah, so he's a small win. I mean, the results aren't great. Bo Nix would be the best, but they're all winners, but none of them are humongous.
All right, Dave, you want to let everyone know where to find you on social media? Any promo code you got at BetOnline, AG?
Yeah, at Dave Mason BOL on Twitter. BetOnline.ag. Come on over, hit up the promos page for all sorts of deposit promos if that's your thing. 100% deposit bonus if you use crypto, 50% for other methods. Again, all the terms and conditions and promo codes are on the promotions page. If the bonuses aren't your thing, we have some of the earliest odds in the industry, which you get great value there. We have reduced juice on NHL and
there you go. That's everything.
High limit.
We're going to have to go to our next segment.
All right.
Thanks,
All right, guys. Later.
Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
He's blocked well and tries to cut through the middle.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
Underdog Fantasy has a way for you to play alongside your favorite football team all season long with their fantasy pick'em game. You pick between 2 to 5 players, select whether they'll go higher or lower on one of their stats, then do what you usually do on a Sunday, watch the games. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, and the Sports Betting Show wants you to get involved. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. When you sign up, use the promo code WIN, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
Welcome back to the Sports Betting Show. I'm the Philly Godfather from the PhillyGodfather.com, and you're listening on Sirius XM, channel 159. You're watching us on Sports Grid TV and JAKIB Media on YouTube, and we're also live streaming the show on Twitter at Philly Godfather. Well, you heard Dave Mason, man. There's a lot of square early action on Alabama, and come game day, I think the whole world's going to be betting Bama. But before we break that game down, let me go to Matt Multembus. Matt, you gave that, Daniels to win the Heisman at the beginning of the season. He's currently 11-1 favorite. I mean, no one's going to take the trophy home but him, right?
No one's taking the trophy except for Jaden Daniels. We bet him at the beginning of the year, 12-1. Hedged a little bit the week before prior to him, his odds transforming from plus 150 to now 1,100. A little bit on Bo Nix to secure yourself some profit regardless of what happened. But yeah, man, we're sticking with Jaden Daniels. I mean, I don't see the trophy going to anyone but him. And then we're also holding a Texas future at 25-1. So excited about both of those.
So make sure you guys follow Matt Maltepis on Twitter at Matt Maltepis, and you can follow him also at TCK_experience. The college kids. Rooster, the whole world's going to be betting Alabama. I know you're big on them. Does that scare you at all come game day? If it's 7 out of every 10 tickets on the Crimson Tide, and was Georgia that good, or they weren't really the best team in the country? And how impressive is that win for Alabama over Georgia going into this Michigan game?
Well, it's a very, very impressive win. There's no way you could take that away from them. I mean, they were 5-point underdogs. They had it stumbled a week before. But Saban gets these kids up and ready and playing their best ball this time of year. And I like them in this game against Michigan. I know Michigan's tough. And I think the square money will be on Alabama. But in these games, I don't even look at the money count. Super Bowl, national championship, they throw that out the window. Only one team's going to win. You could do that for a season long, but when you take one game, it's not that big of a factor. I mean, squares win 46% of the time. Let's face it. So it's a coin flip anyway. I like Alabama in this game, and I like them to win it all still.
Does their offensive line wasn't that strong all season? Over the last 4 games, they look pretty good, but they've played some teams like Georgia whose sack percentage on the defensive line wasn't the best. I think they were ranked 50th in the nation. Does that scare you at all? They were the 3rd lightest offensive line in the whole SEC this year. You don't think that Michigan defensive line can penetrate and get some pressure on Milroe?
It does scare me, but again, and Harbaugh's no slouch. Don't get me wrong, he's not. But give Saban this kind of time to get ready for a game, and look at his record over the last 25 years. I mean, the guy wins when he has time to plan. He's kind of like Andy Reid in that way. Give Andy Reid 2 weeks, he wins 70% of the time.
Yeah, it's true. Great coaches win. Let me go ahead, Matt.
I have a 25-1 ticket on Texas. You have a 20-1 ticket on Alabama. Let's say Alabama and Texas both advance. What are you thinking now once that happens?
Well, obviously, I think we're both hedging. I like Texas too. They're my 2 teams. I think they're going to the final. And I would say Alabama would be a favorite. Probably not a whole lot, maybe 3. So I would have a better hedge opportunity than you. But, yeah, I think that's the matchup. I think that's what we're going to get.
Yeah,
so many things can happen, right? I mean, guys can get banged up. You don't know what happens. I mean,
Alabama would be you're right. It would be a 3.5-point favorite. It's already up.
Who do you like in that matchup, Jimmy? If first of all,
Texas.
Alabama, Michigan, Alabama wins. Who do you like them against Texas? And
Texas.
Listen, Washington could shock the world. I mean,
they could.
They could.
Let's hope not.
Yeah, I don't think it's happening though this year. But I mean, Alabama, Texas would be the dream college football championship for me. That's what I like to see in there.
You think they're the 2 best teams in the country?
After last week, I do.
It's hard saying that after Georgia went down.
Georgia down, so I got to. But I like Texas all along, and I agree with Matt. I love to see Alabama, Texas in the national championship.
Matt, who do you like in Alabama-Michigan game? Who do you like in that matchup?
Alabama-Michigan's a little tough. Michigan, like I said, I don't think they've been tested much. They did versus Ohio State. I kind of leaned Ohio State in that game. Didn't go that way. But, I mean, Alabama, they run the ball. They played smart. Saban, he's amazing. He knows how to coach his way through, any issues the team has. And this year, obviously, you're talking about the offensive line and whatnot going up against Michigan, but he has time to prepare, just like Rooster said. And Saban, with time to prepare, that dude, he's on another level. So
he's a monster.
It's a tough one. I got to let him marinate a little bit.
All right, say Alabama wins with that weak offensive line. Then they play Texas. What happens next?
They play Texas in that game. I'm going to obviously hedge my ticket, but my honest opinion, I mean, Texas beat them earlier in the year. They went to Tuscaloosa. They beat them by 10. Should have won by 13.
They were 7-point dogs, right? In that match.
Yeah, they're 7-point dogs. Beat them by 10 points. And then they should have, honestly, because they missed a field goal, they should have won by 13. I think Texas has a shot to win it all and take out Alabama if it gets to that point. But Alabama and Michigan, they're going to beat each other up. And if Texas has a little bit of an easier road with Washington, they have a bit of an easier game. I mean, Texas is going to be more rested. They might just be able to take out Alabama.
All right, let's flip this on its head. Say Washington goes out there and beats Texas convincingly. What happens? Well, I mean, Rooster, if they go out there and they beat Texas by a touchdown, now what do you do? And Alabama wins. You still that confident Alabama beats Washington?
I am. I mean, anybody could have a bad game. Texas could have a bad game. What's the look-ahead line on that, Baba? 7?
6 on Michigan, Washington.
I think it's 6.
Bama, Washington.
I think it's -6.
6.5.
I'm laying 6.5 all day long. That line's closing 7 or above. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I still like Michigan. I got a 91 future on them. I'm debating whether to hedge a little bit. I basically I got
get off, Godfather. Get off right now because it ain't making it to the dance. That's it.
You don't think so? It's tough letting go. Like when you got that future ticket and they're favorite, and you get 9-1 on a coin flip. Basically, a coin flip. The game's won, right? You got a slight lead over Alabama, but like Bruce said, Coach Saban, that Alabama offensive line scares me, man. It really scares me in that game. I think Texas is going to beat Washington. I mean, I think 4 points is just way too low. But let's give out a couple more games here. We got what do we got? We got Miami, Ohio versus App State. App State's laying 6. I know there's some sharp money on App State. Total 47. Matt Molteps from the college. Could you like anyone in this matchup?
I mean, I didn't bet anything like I told you guys earlier, but App State, I mean, it makes sense why the sharp money, came in on them. I mean, they took North Carolina, the second game of the year, to double OT, and they played some teams tough this year. They took out James Madison. Yeah, I could see App State winning this and covering the touchdown. I really could. Because, I mean, we look at Miami, Ohio, when they versed a, team of significance against Miami, Florida, they got crushed 38-3,
And North Carolina beat Miami, and they beat Duke, and App State took them to double overtime. Let me go to Rooster. Rooster, you going to lay the 6 points now on App State?
I don't like a side here. I think that's about the right line. Miami, Ohio can hang with teams. They do have their bad games. But I like the under. I think that's good. 47 is a little high for me. I think that's going to be 20 games, something like that. So, yeah, I kind of like the under.
All right, Sheep, you hearing anything? Costa Rica, Vegas, the Asian market, you hearing anything?
Favorite.
You like the favorite? I like the favorite. You like App State. If you can
I just think they're a better team, better offense.
Yeah, I think they're the better team top to bottom on the roster. I mean, they've played the tougher competition. And like Maddie said, they took North Carolina in double overtime. And North Carolina beat the Hurricanes and Duke this year. I think App State, I think they won the game and covered the spread. All right, next game on the board. New Mexico State's laying 3 versus Fresno State. Let me go to Matt Molteps from the College Kids. Any opinion on this side or a total here?
I think 3 is looking a little good. Honestly, New Mexico State -3 isn't so bad. They beat Auburn. And we saw Auburn just give Alabama a fight, right? So New Mexico State, they've had some games where they played pretty damn well. And we look at Fresno State, I don't think they've versed any teams like that significance. I mean, you look at the teams they did versus San Diego State, they lost 33-18. A couple of these other teams, to me, it's not nearly as impressive as, New Mexico State beating Auburn 31-10 at Auburn.
Yeah, that's a big win there. Let me go to Rooster. Rooster, you like anyone in that matchup? I mean, New Mexico State had won 8 of its last 9, and Fresno State's kind of spiraling. I think they lost their last 3 in a row. That's a short number, ain't it? Short price for a game like this?
It's a little bit of a short price. Again, I don't like anything on the side there. The line's creeping New Mexico State's way. I mean, there's no big money this early. But I like over in this game. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. Both of these teams can score. Both of their defenses are suspect. They really didn't play any great offenses. So I like over 51 here.
Yeah, I like the over as well. I lean towards New Mexico State, but I mean, they play a little loose with the football, right?
Yeah.
They're ranked 86th in the nation in turnover margin, while Fresno State's top 10 or 11th. So a couple turnovers could sway the whole game. Sheep, you hearing anything on this matchup here?
Favorite, and nothing on the
all year. Georgia favorite, every game favorite.
Yeah, but guess what? They only win. So you win 13 games. I don't care. You only lose one. You're at now New Mexico State. There's a guy I really respect, and he's saying Fresno don't care about this game, and he's on New Mexico State.
All right, well there you go. Before we go to the next game, I want everyone listening and watching to go to underdogfantasy.com. That's underdogfantasy.com. Use promo code WIN, and they'll match your deposit up to $100. That's underdogfantasy.com. Promo code WIN, and they'll match your deposit up to $100. All right. Next game on the board, you got UCLA, which I thought this line was kind of short. 2.5, total 50, playing Boise State. Let me go to Matt Molteps from the College Kids. We've got about 2 minutes left in this segment. Matt, you like anyone here?
Yeah, this line was a little short. UCLA, I mean, let's go through the schedule. They beat San Diego State. They only lost to 7 by Utah, which is a really good team this year. Washington State, 25-17. They beat them. Oregon State played them tough, though. They lost by 12 points. Then we saw them beat Colorado. We saw them beat Stanford. And then they went out and beat a talented, USC team that people had high hopes for at the beginning of the year. Whereas, laying 2.5 only, I mean, it seems kind of short. I think you're right about that.
Let me go to Rooster. Boise State's quarterback entered the transfer portal. He might not play. That kid, what's his name? Talon Green. If he doesn't play, how do they not get blown out here?
When I saw this line go up, I said, you know what? This line is going to fly. I thought this game would be 4 before you blink your eye, and it went to 3, and then boom, somebody hit it back down to 2.5. That scares me. That scared me off it. So I didn't touch it. I was originally going to go in, lay some 2.5, and just play a middle on this game. But you know what? I'm off. Something's going on here. It doesn't make any sense to me. I think this game should be at least 4. So I'm going to hold off for now and not do anything on it.
Yeah, especially if that kid ain't playing, right? I mean, but
this could be one of the greatest college setups of all time. They're going to count the dog, and then game day it's going to be sitting 2.5, and then next thing we know, we look up, BetOnline's going to close 5. I'm telling you, I think Chip Kelly needs this game.
Green missed a couple games this year.
All right, hold that thought, Matt. We're going to go to our next segment. We'll be right back with the Rooster recap.
Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
He's blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
Underdog Fantasy has a way for you to play alongside your favorite football team all season long with their fantasy pick'em game. You pick between 2 to 5 players, select whether they'll go higher or lower on one of their stats, then do what you usually do on a Sunday. Watch the games. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, and the Sports Betting Show wants you to get involved. Go to underdogfantasy.com. When you sign up, use the promo code WIN, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's underdogfantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
Welcome back to the Sports Betting Show. I'm the Philly Godfather from the PhillyGodfather.com. And before we go to the Rooster recap, let me give you guys some games that I like. I like Florida State plus 14.5. I like Florida State on the money line plus 500. I like Louisville in the first half minus 4.5, and on the money line minus 230. USC's defense stinks. One of the worst teams in the country in the turnover margin, and their quarterback ain't playing. And I think Louisville is going to look a lot better than they did against that solid Florida State defense. So, Rooster, with that said, you want to bang out the Rooster recap?
Yeah, I threw. If you guys gave me an opinion, I kind of just put it down. So it may not be all the games you like, but it's too many. Philly Godfather, Navy plus 3.5. Michigan on your future. Texas -4. Michigan -1.5. New Mexico State over 51. UCLA -2.5. Florida State straight and money line. Louisville -230 and Louisville first half. Matt, Navy under 28. Texas -4. App State -6. Bama plus 1.5. New Mexico State -2.5. UCLA -2.5. Baba likes the favorite. Rooster, Navy under 28. Navy plus 3.5. Texas -4. App State under 47. Alabama plus 1.5. New Mexican State over 51. And my big game is Northwestern plus 7.
There you go. You do that like a pro. How long have you been doing that for? Couple
3 weeks. Yeah.
I was trying to give Sheep the layup because I'm holding Michigan futures 9-1. Maddie's holding Texas futures 25-1. You're holding Alabama futures. We all gave out futures months ago, weeks ago. And I'm hoping he says Washington plus 7. This way, one of us gets it right.
No, I don't want to.
You could have made all of us. We could have made the show look great. We would have got.
That's not a big enough favorite. He needs at least -250 to even like a game.
No, I told you what I want. I want Texas and Bama in the national championship, and then I'll be happy.
That's a shocker. You're laying the favorites. That's a shocker.
Yeah, I wanted to.
All right. I want to thank everyone for watching on JAKIB Sports on YouTube and Philly Godfather Twitter account, Sports Grid TV, listening on Sirius XM. And we'll be back next week. Good luck and keep firing, guys.
See you, boys.
Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
He's blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
Underdog Fantasy has a way for you to play alongside your favorite football team all season long with their fantasy pick'em game. You pick between 2 to 5 players, select whether they'll go higher or lower on one of their stats, then do what you usually do on a Sunday. Watch the games. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, and the Sports Betting Show wants you to get involved. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. When you sign up, use the promo code WIN, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.